America is filled with massive freeways across many of its major cities as vehicle infrastructure expanded with suburbanization. Many of these came with steady upgrades and small projects to keep up with the increased traffic volume. But after this happens for 15 to 20 years, suddenly you have some of the widest freeways in the nation, with upwards of 20 lanes in some cases. The effectiveness of this style of freeway is debated, but especially in areas around the Sun Belt, there are many wide interstates and freeways seen from the suburbs to the downtown. Present day, there's been one freeway known as the widest in the country for over a decade now, but this may be changing. So today I want to explore our current widest freeway, which is the infamous Katy Freeway in Texas, but I mostly want to talk about a new project that may take its place. Before we get into the video though, please buy my merch. This weekend is your last chance to get the 100K merchandise, so I'd really appreciate it if you just check it out. The giveaway will also be drawn this week, so if you want to get a signed t-shirt possibly, become a YouTube member or join the Discord to have a chance. Thank you. So let's start by simply looking at our current widest freeway, which is the Katy Freeway in Houston, Texas. This is a topic that's been well covered on the channel. It's a portion of I-10 located to the west of downtown Houston, and it's went through several changes, with one main project expanding it. This was the Katy Freeway Reconstruction Project, which was in the talks for around a decade and took place from around 2003 to 2008. It expanded I-10 to around 6 or 7 lanes in each direction, with 3 HOV lanes and 4 lanes of frontage roads on either side, varying depending on area. The lanes seemingly increase the closer you get to I-610, and around Antoine Boulevard it reaches its maximum of 26 lanes between the general use, HOV, and frontage. Now, there's an argument to be made that the frontage roads shouldn't be included since they aren't limited access and aren't technically part of the freeway, but they're commonly included due to their relation to the highway and inclusion in the right-of-way, which gets to as much as 556 feet, which is something you really have to think about because that's almost 2 football fields just for a highway. Other things of note for the Katy Freeway is that the traffic is still extremely bad despite the amount of lanes and upgrades. The average annual daily traffic is around 313,000, which is one of the highest in the US. So there just isn't a way to come out of this with smooth traffic and limited congestion. So Texas spent $2.8 billion on upgrades, but it still ends up with the same type of result. Now, speaking of the average annual daily traffic, where in the country has a similar rate? Well, that would be our topic for today, which is Interstate 10 in Phoenix, Arizona. So there are a select few cities that really compare to Houston's car-oriented design and overall traffic volumes. But outside of Texas, Phoenix is one of the best comparisons you're going to get. The state employs the idea of Sunbelt urbanism and suburbanism, with more spread out designs that are oriented towards cars. Let's take a step back and look at the city. It's located on a flat section of the Salt River Valley, also known as the Valley of the Sun. The major interstates are I-10 and I-17, with I-10 running through the city east to west, making up part of the downtown loop, and I-17 coming in from the north and forming the other half of the downtown loop. That's it for interstates, but rather than having a full beltway, the city chose to expand in a less uniform way, with Loop 101 and 202 serving much of the inner metro, and 303 plus a few other highways rounding out the freeway infrastructure. Now, as I mentioned before, there's an extreme reliance on these highways, and especially the freeways. Any cross-metro transportation will take you onto the freeway, so this results in some traffic issues. Looking at our map of freeways again, you can do some pretty easy math just by looking at it to find the issues. First of all, Grand Avenue seems like a very useful route to connect the northwest to the downtown, but my goodness, that just looks like a mess. It's not even fully limited access in some areas, so this is a funny little situation where it's in almost too useful of a location. The other one, which is a bit harder to notice, is this small area right here. This is just southeast of the downtown, near Sky Harbor International Airport in downtown Tempe. With the way the metro has been laid out, the circle ends up providing access for the entire southeast part of the valley to the downtown. And ruling out Loop 202 due to its northern connection, and 143 due to its use for pretty much only airport traffic, we find a major choke point right here. This small stretch, called the Broadway Curve, connects the downtown to basically the entire southeast, including airport traffic in that, just to make it worse. This may be hard to believe, but the Arizona DOT estimates that nearly half of the drivers in the metro area take the Broadway curve every single day, with around 300,000 vehicles every day, and that number may increase to around 375,000 by 2040. This was easily the most clogged stretch of freeway in the city, and so the Arizona DOT made the decision to upgrade the highway from around Ray Road in the south all the way to the downtown in the north. And this project is one of the craziest we've seen. So let's start with the basics. The project is projected to cost around $800 million, and it's specifically important right now because it began in 2021, but its completion is marked as spring 2025, meaning things are basically being wrapped up as this video is being made. It's the largest freeway reconstruction in Arizona history, widening I-10 to 6 general-purpose lanes with 2 HOV lanes in each direction. That means the base design is 16 lanes, but it depends on where you are. Near Elliott Road, it's 10 total lanes, but near Alameda Drive, it gets up to 21 lanes, including frontage roads. At Broadway Road, still including the frontage roads, it gets to its maximum, which is 25 lanes wide. Now, this is technically 1 lane less than the Katy Freeway, but there are spots where it can be considered wider than that if you count exit ramp lanes, and it does get wider than the Katy Freeway in overall length, at up to 219 yards wide, which is well over 2 football fields of just buttery freeway goodness. As far as benefits, it'll increase traffic capacity by 60%, preparing for that expected rise in daily traffic. You need to remember what I said about it being the main freeway connector to the southeast part of the metro. This is the area of Phoenix that's growing the fastest, so it'll only become more important in the future. Continuing on traffic, it's projected to save 2.5 million hours of time annually, and with boring economic math stuff, that equates to $130 million saved per year. So argue with an economist about this and they'll tell you it'll pay for itself in 7 years. It'll also create 1,400 construction jobs and 250 long-term jobs in the region. Those long-term jobs doesn't really seem like that much for an $800 million project, but I'll just trust that it's good. As far as critiques go, it's the same type of stuff you'll always see, which are obviously valid in some ways. Induced demand has been brought up, which is the idea that expanding the freeway will simply create more traffic, and people will now choose to use the highway due to its increased capacity. This demand will also come from the economic boost from businesses along the upgraded regions. And as I've told you, yes, traffic will increase. The region is growing, and more people will now choose to use the curve. But there's an argument to be made that the increased capacity will be enough to offset the increased traffic. It all comes down to how worth it the $800 million project is, when this money could be used to move away from car dependency in the city, investing in things like public transportation. This brings up the thought that Phoenix is following in the footsteps of Houston, and even potentially passing them in the idea of Sunbelt urbanism. Is Phoenix making more present-day massive freeway changes? Well, sure, but for now, I think the city still has a great opportunity for urban planning diversification that covers more than just freeways. Downtown Tempe in the Mill Avenue district has made some good strides with high-density, pedestrian-friendly development, and the Valley Metro Light Rail has also really helped the city promote transit-oriented development between Phoenix, Tempe, and Mesa. And it's yet another thing that has used the Arizona State campus to its advantage. What I'm saying is that there's 2 ways to look at this. You can say the new freeway project is decreasing congestion and setting up the Broadway curve for the growth that will be seen over the next 25 years. And there are other areas that Phoenix is working to create a friendlier urban design for sustainability. Or you can say that the city just used $800 million to create a freeway the size of 2 football fields that's still going to get jammed every day. I think that's a lot of what U.S. geography is right now, with a negative view that aims to create change and a positive view that appreciates what we have. Thanks for watching. Thank you to the members this week: The Baked Fruit, Andres Quintero, Jesse Hook, Lufting, Lady Nightingale, J. Allen Rigo, Autistic City Scouts fan, Richard Law, Jake Huffs, Alexander Lichtenko, Laura Halliday, The Road Dude, Charles Watson, Pete Tedeschi, Aiden Cowell, Sam Not Woods, The Happy Hodag, Reginald Wilkerson, Grant Dickerson, Julius Landry, Doug R., Midwest Railfan, DS, Richard Horwell, Mick Kastner, D, Stephen Phillips, CJ Brick, Big Pasty, Resident Contrarian, Hazev the Wolf, Bunny, Brock Sanders, Stephen Priestman, SB Wilder, Florida Jake, Sergey C17, Alex Williams, Mickey Mardanoff, Kurt Ainsley, KMS162, Jonathan, Bryson, Rosewood 4, Darkbird, Wolfling 73, Snyder Schwein, Benjamin Whitings, and Ryan Devins. There's going to be so many people, and the amount you guys help is just amazing. If you want to become a member, the link is down in the description below. This is just another way to help me if you appreciate the content. All the money will go to a good place, I promise. It's just going to my savings for the future. So if you want to help me out as a person, that's the best way to do it. Thank you.